Hi, WhiskyJason here. Whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany. And today I have from the Lost Spirits Distillery, Fire Dancer, single malt, heavily peated, used port cask French oak, 59%. And if you can use whiskybase.com, the ID number is 57663, Fire Dancer. So, Brian Davis started in Salinas, California in 2009 with a Lost Spirits Distillery. He was a biochemist, so he actually knows what he's doing. And his dream, as I said in the last video with the umami, is to create a whiskey which is very similar to the peated or smoked whiskeys from the Isles. For example, Kilchoman. So that's what he wants, Bruchladdich, or something along those lines. Something from Campbellton and so on. Alright, so as I said last video, there's two important things I have to tell you. The first one is originally he had a wooden pot still. He used steam heat to actually operate this to bring the temperature up. And then he used his swimming pool to cool down the water. And so he would actually have his swimming pool up above 110 degrees, like almost a whirlpool. And unfortunately, there was chlorine in that water. And there was a leak, and he created something called TCA, basically cork rot. It leaked out the chlorine into the surrounding soil, and it contaminated the pool, the TCA, which contaminated the wooden pot still, which contaminated some of the whiskey he had made. So, bulldozer came and got rid of the wooden pot still, and as far as I'm concerned, also the swimming pool. And so he now actually hand-made a new pot still from copper roofing. He just took some copper roofing plates, hammered them together, and created a new 600-gallon pot still, which is used since 2014. So, everything's distilled 2 times at his distillery. There's the first distill, and then the low spirits distill, and then the normal high spirit distill, where he actually has the heads and the tails. So if you ever distill something, you bring it up to temperature. Let's say you have it at a certain temperature, and alcohol should start boiling at, I forgot my numbers. I know that it's 100 degrees Celsius is what water boils at, which is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. I think alcohol is 79 point something degrees Celsius, which would bring it down to 173 or 68 or whatever degrees Fahrenheit. I really don't know my numbers here, so sorry. And now some things start boiling at 150. And the vapors will come off and go through the pot still, and then condense and flow down. He actually has a nice little whiskey safe, a spirit safe. And what you do is you wait until the first part of this run reaches a certain point where you say cut. You actually move, usually then the spout, and then the rest goes down, and you'll barrel this. Towards the end, the temperature gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and more of these heavy type of alcohols are distilled, and those are called the tails, and we don't want those either. And so you want to have the heart, and that's what he did. This is a heart, which is every single, if you're not using column stills, this is what happens. All right, for a pot still, this is just normal. Now, usually the heads and the tails that you had, you throw them in the next batch and you just distill them again, because some of the stuff that comes off is actually fairly good. Now, what Brian Davis does is he throws the heads and the tails away. He says, I reuse them. It totally distorts the taste I want, and it's a bad batch, and so he just gets rid of it. As an artisan distiller, you can have that freedom to do things that are economically stupid, but that's what he did. So, let's taste this. I was so pleasantly surprised from the last video with umami. It was my first cherry peated single malt whiskey that I've ever liked, and it's from America. Yay! From California. This was actually also produced using American grown barley and Canadian peat. Over here in Germany, 2014 is when it came out and cost about $80. I'm sorry, €80 and about $90 at the exchange rate today. So, what does my nose say? First of all, I have the alcohol so much more. It's so much more evident. I feel like it's the 59. I would have said more like the 53, but it's really, really stronger than the umami. And then I get this port. My wife and I, 2 years ago, we were in Portugal. In Lisbon, I had a 30-year-old tawny port wine. We went down into this nice little bar. You go down the stairs. You sit in these leather armchairs, and you can order from the list. And I just ordered like an 18 euros for this. And I just wanted to treat myself to it. And then we went up to Porto, and we did the different places where I think we had 8 different places that actually manufacture and port. We did the ruby and we did the tawny, and I really, really enjoy port a lot. But I don't like port in my whiskey, usually. There's one exception. The only exception is, and I have the wrong bottle, I'm sorry. This is actually the Angel's Envy Rye, which was in rum casks finish, and the normal Angel's Envy in port was so good. I had it in Texas last year. I really, really enjoyed that. Angel's Envy is a great company anyways. I really do like what they're doing. Wasn't that the Hall of Fame, Bourbon Hall of Fame? One of the founders, one of the initial members that used to work for Brown-Forman, he just went off with his son or whoever and started Angel's Envy. They know what they're doing. I just don't like it. I have alcohol, I have wood, and not a good type of wood. I have some port, and I have a little bit of peat in there. The peat is really not that evident. The alcohol is too much. Let's taste this. First of all, without any water. Mmm. Mmm. Wow, it's hot. Mmm, it's bitter. Then it's a little bit sweet. And there's a little bit of smoke. Wow. Oh, it's hot. I actually have a little bit of the single malt grain. Ooh, the barley. Wow. Now it's a smoky. It transitions a little bit. But it's way too hot for me. Oh, wow. No, the 59% just really, really ruined it for me. So I'm going to dilute this a little bit. I'm going to bring it down to 43 about. Now, now what happens is with water, if I would have put in 3 drops, which I didn't, I would have helped the water-soluble fats and the other elements in there to rise to the top that are dissolvable or solutable in solutable? Okay, dissolvable. That's not actually great English. I'm sorry. In the and they would come and they would change the taste a little bit. What I did is I just poured in a lot of water, which means I'm diluting it on purpose, getting it down, as I said, to the 46% around. Now, what does my nose say now? It hasn't changed that much. Amazing. The alcohol is a little bit less. It's dampened. It's not as stringent and as sharp and as hot as it was. The peat is still there and says, hi, hello, how are you? But it's really not something like Kilchoman that it just kind of hits you in the face and says, hello, lick this ashtray. And the port is there. And the wood is still also there, but it's this bad type of wood. It's the wood that has been used 3 or 4 times, and the 4th time was just too much. It's that's what they do. They use these port casks and sherry casks maybe 2 or 3 times Maybe just once in France or twice. I know there were some 90-year-old sherry casks that have been used 5 times in Ireland, and they rejuvenated them. They scraped them down, put them, charred them again, and used them again, and you could still taste the wood really wasn't what it should have been. It really had that rottiness in the wood. And that's what I had here in the nose, and I'm going to have the same thing in the mouth, I'm pretty sure. That's an acceptable. Wow, I hit the right on the button. That's how it should taste. Mmm. I don't like it, but mmm. Okay, the whiskey's diluted down to, I would actually say, 43%. The alcohol doesn't really bother me anymore. The wood is there. It's not as bitter as it was. The single malt is really there. And instead of having the sherry here with the umami, I have the port in there. And I'm not a real lover of port finishes. And it wasn't even finished. It was actually matured in the port using the THEA method of pressure maturation. And that would have been the perfect ABV, 43, 45%. It's much, much better now, but it's still not my cup of tea. I'm going to give it a C-, and I'm going to give it a 4- because I just don't like it, really. I still have that bitter wood rotty taste, especially as an aftertaste. It's more on the tongue than here, but it's there. And it's not something where I'm going to go, oh, wow, that was great. But rather, can I eat something else? Give me a cracker or something like that. It's not what I want in my mouth afterwards. Sorry, Brian Davis, not my stuff, Fire Dancer. So, thank you very much for watching. WhiskyJason here. Whiskey from the viewpoint of American and Germany, and my goal is to test unique, rare, exotic whiskeys that are very, very seldom available in the English-speaking world, but I've somehow got my hands on them, as this, probably as well as the umami, was only available in California, New York, DC, Ireland, Germany, and Denmark. I have no idea why they picked those places to distribute it, but that's the way it was. WhiskyJason here. Thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and also tell your friends about this crazy American tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. See you soon.